All right, we have some opening music by Holly Day. We're really glad to have her back. So take a seat and enjoy her beautiful music.
I wrote this song. It's called I Am Divine. It's actually a conversation between me and God, us and God, me and you. If I could see me as I see you, our consciousness aligned, this breath in me that comes from you, well, it's proof I am divine. Now I'll hold you as you hold me. Your peace deepens my mind, and through your grace all is new, 'cause you're proof I am divine. Use my open heart. Use my open eyes. Use this voice. Remind me that I am divine. I know we are divine. So I'll love you as you love me. Our essence intertwines. This part of me is a part of you, and you're proof we are divine. This light in me will always be. The stars will always shine for those who seek this sacred truth and know we are divine. So use my open heart. Use my open eyes. Use this voice to remind me I am divine. I know we are divine. You're proof we are divine.
Holly, it's always a joy to have you here. And she writes such beautiful music. All right, well, I'm Reverend Dr. Mary Mitchell, and I used to be a full-time minister, but now I serve as a practitioner here and teach classes. And I want to welcome everyone here. And if you're new, on the back wall we have these blue folders. They're our welcome packet, and they have a lot of great information. So if you'd like one, pick one up on the way out. I think you'll really enjoy it. And if you have any questions, come and see any of us who are practitioners, which are Charlie, myself, and Shirley Wade here. Happy to have you. All right, we're going to invite the children up, and as they come, Lindy's going to pan the camera, so turn around and wave to all the thousands of people, I'm sure, watching us today from around the world. We have, huh? Oh, okay. Come on.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. Tu es l'image de Dieu. I hold you in my heart. Tu es l'image de l'amour. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are
those little ones in the morning, isn't it? All right. I'd like to thank the people that came early to make such a nice service for you. We have Lindy and Joey in the sound booth. We have Doug in service as an usher greeter. The kitchen cookies have at least prepared coffee and tea for you. We're putting off food for a while. And then we have Holly Day, glad you're here, and me and Sue, and there we are. And the children's teachers. That's Bonnie walking there, and she's in charge of the children, and she does a really great job. So we're glad to have Bonnie here. All right, if you have a cell phone, we'd appreciate it if you would put it on airplane mode or turn it off. Thank you. And we have some focus announcements. Our Nourishing Our Community. Diana, did you want to talk about that? Where's Diana? Oh, do you want to do more? Yeah, I think that would be good. You've got the super duper enthusiasm, and you've organized it to death, and that's good.
Well, for the last several weeks, we've been encouraging you all to step forward to host a Nourishing Our Community event. So this Sunday is the day that we're calling those forms in, because it takes time for Lori and I to prepare the posters for the display and get everything ready for the bidding, which is the next part of this fun process that culminates in meals, gatherings of community, fun things to do, all proceeds coming back to the center. So if you have an idea, you've been thinking, oh, maybe I'd like to host an event. I know we had someone step forward just this morning that's going to do a brunch at home during the time of the blooms in the spring. Those are wonderful ideas. They don't have to be elaborate. So if you have an idea brewing and you're not quite sure you want to do it, talk to me out in the foyer after, and I can maybe help facilitate your courage. Thank you.
You know, the fun thing about that is you don't want to miss a Sunday after you've looked at all of them and you've picked a couple out, because other people are going to overbid you, and you can only bid up $2, which isn't much. So you get a lot of bidders for things. So everybody's mulling around watching who's going to bid and are you going to win. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of fun. All right, the Heart Song Choir rehearsals have returned. They start Thursdays from 7 to 9. And men's group with Roy Wolfstad, Monday, August 28th, 7 to 9. And the Awareness Newsletter Folding Day, Thursday, August 31st from 9 to 11. That's always fun. And Joan Richards Gong Meditation, Sunday, September 3rd, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Office Bookstore closed September 4th, which is a Monday, for Labor Day. Chair Yoga with Clare Bay Manor, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11 to 12:30. And I'm running through this because there's way too many. Prayers and Meditations of Yogananda with Reverend Sue, Tuesday, September 5th, 7 to 8. Hatha Yoga with Reverend Sue, she's been doing this for years. Monday and Wednesdays, September through June, 5:30 to 6:45. And she's also doing Lunch with Earnest Holmes. That is a very, very fun thing. It's a book study group, Thursdays, 1 to 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And Michael Harris, Steve Shem-Smith, and friends, the Spiritual Music Jam, Friday, September 8th, 7 to 8:30. And lastly, Landscape Save Us Saturday, led by Diana and Charlie, September 9th, 7:30 to 11:30 a.m. So if you think you really need something else to do, I think we've kind of filled you up. So that's really great. A lot of good things happening. All right, we'll start off our spiritual part of the service with a reading, and Linda Mitchell's going to do that. And then Charlie will invite the bell 3 times so that you can take that in and just hold that in your heart, that reading. And then I'll do a spiritual mind treatment, which is our form of affirmative prayer. And then Reverend Sue does a Sunday. Her lesson is Living Your Passion and Purpose. And she does that really, really well. All right. Oh, you agree. Okay. Linda.
Good morning. Stephanie Geminata was born in 1986. She was bullied through school and called the germ. Labeled as weird and an outsider, she struggled to make it through. What kept her going was her love of music, both singing and playing the piano. She sang at open mic nights throughout high school and auditioned for many events and with numerous rejections. Later, she was sexually abused and suffered from PTSD. Despite all these setbacks, she continued to believe in her passion and purpose for being here. We know her today as Lady Gaga, an award-winning actress and singer. She is recognized for her many philanthropic causes, including those of the LGBTQ community and other marginalized groups. She has been an advocate for mental health issues, women's causes, and civil rights in general. Lady Gaga is an excellent example of someone who is passionately living their purpose out loud. Gaga learned to play the piano at the age of 4. At the age of 11, she was accepted to the Juilliard School in Manhattan, but instead attended a private Catholic school in the city. She continued studying music and performing, writing her first piano ballad at the age of 13, and she held her first performance in a New York City nightclub at the age of 14. A few years later, Gaga was granted early admission to New York University's Tisch School of the Arts. She was one of only 20 students worldwide to receive the honor of early acceptance. While there, she studied music and worked on her songwriting skills. She later withdrew from school to find creative inspiration. To make ends meet, she took 3 jobs, including a stint as a go-go dancer, while she honed her performance art act. In 2005, Lady Gaga was briefly signed to Def Jam Records, but was dropped just months later. Being dropped from the label propelled the singer to perform on her own in clubs and venues in New York City's Lower East Side. There, she collaborated with several rock bands and began her experimentation with fashion. This is just a brief glance into her life. When you dive deep into her willingness to share who she is, one discovers a life that was riddled with challenges to overcome, including a psychotic break, but her passion for music drove her to rise above every obstacle and to truly demonstrate what it means to live out loud.
There is only one infinite intelligence whose passion was creating you. With such a passion filled with love, this one created each one of us as unique individuals. That takes real passion. And so I know for myself today and everyone here that when we touch our passion, there's an energy that flows through us like nothing else. There's a joy that lights up our heart and lights up our mind like nothing else. That passion is God-given creation. I'm so grateful for it, for those days when I touch it time and again. And then I think about those days when it's like, where do I fit some passion and joy into my life today? And then I intentionally do it. So I encourage everyone to do that. Find even a few minutes to touch your passion and let it lift your heart and lift your mind and lift your soul. So in gratitude, I say thank you, Spirit, for being so darn creative. Each of us is different, and we enjoy every minute of it. And so it is. Reverend Sue.
Thank you for being here today. It's nice to talk to an audience. And I'm going to wrap up what we've been talking about all month about living our passions with purpose. But this today is really the focus back on you. And I thought I would just make a few people's stomach squirm by saying that if you were in my workshop yesterday on intuition, that I want you to guess what I'm going to say. Come on up and guess what I'm going to say. Wouldn't that be fun? We had a really lovely time yesterday speaking about how the divine calls to you. How does the divine reach you, speak to you? What is intuition? And what my greatest takeaway was just the willingness of everyone to go deep into themselves and to put God first. You see, you have to put God first in order to hear what you need to hear. Otherwise, you're listening to some of the stale voices that have imprinted themselves upon you. So knowing that, I would invite you to deeply listen today, because maybe there's something that's been deeply stirring inside of you to live out loud and to enjoy serving the world with your passion. So Eleanor Roosevelt shares this beautiful quote as I start off: "The purpose of life is to live it, to taste experience to the utmost, to reach out eagerly and without fear for newer and richer experiences." And she certainly demonstrated that in her walk of life. So, passions and purpose. I'm trusting that maybe some of you were able this month to sort of rediscover some of the unexamined passions that have been pushing you. Or maybe you have discovered some of those that you pushed aside in order to raise a family or to make a living. Or you listened way too long to the voices inside of you that said you weren't good enough. But all the while, you see, when you have a divine urge, it's going to nag at you until you connect deeply with that inner feeling of needing something more. So I encourage you to know that when you make that divine yes to the universe, you are supported and the path becomes much easier. And all of us here in this room got your back. We will raise and praise you every step of the way. So remember your personal relationship with the divine as you co-create the highest and the best for all beings concerned. Realizing who you're partnering with then, your new expression cannot help but thrive. Here is where we shine our light and no longer need to play small or diminish our importance. There's a greater unfolding. There's an evolution of each one of our souls that has been beckoning to wake up. We're on that precipice of change. And so last week, I spoke to you just very briefly about being so inspired by Charlie's and I and Reverend Lynn had visited in Chicago the Parliament of World Religions, where all the faith paths, as I share again, come together to bear testimony to what is stirring in them, what is going on in their lives for taking care of the planet, the earth, humanity, animals, the universe, the air, the water, all of it. What are they willing to do to make a difference, to care for humanity? And that plea, I remind you, was to come back home, and I share it with you. If you have a stirring, go out and share it. Stand up for it. Now is the time. Now is the time to really stand up to a higher calling. We cannot play small. We've had enough time in these past several years to wallow in what we don't like, right? What we don't like. I think we've all said it in so many different ways. And we recognize that we don't like acting like that or being in that state of consciousness, that state of being. We don't like the feeling of aching with some sort of despair that something needs to happen and what am I supposed to do, and then go back into the story and it just keeps looping you back in, whatever that is for you. It all feels like too much sometimes. But you come together, you keep coming to awaken, to wake up to a greater idea of yourself and what you can do. We each know this, how our spirit infused with a conscious that is our guide. There is inside of you, in your upbringing, the true values, the true morals of living a good life. I take you back to Walt Disney and Jiminy Cricket, and I invite you to call the spirit of Jiminy Cricket. I know some of you are young and going, Jiminy Cricket? Well, go look it up. It's in Wikipedia, I'm sure by now. But I feel like, where did Jiminy Cricket go? Because he used to be the little cricket that sat on your shoulder and whispered in your ear what was right to do. Jiminy Cricket. Do you guys remember him? Am I the only one? Okay. Ooh, let your conscience be your guide. Let your conscience be your guide. Such a simple statement of truth. So we begin the journey forward today together to make change. And so how do we even begin, you might say? And I invite you to start with your inner convictions. Your inner convictions, not the opinions of others. One of the things that we did in our skill practice yesterday and looking at our intuition, because sometimes it's really fun to get divination cards, and you pick a card and then you say, ooh, I like this card. It says compassion. What does that mean? And so instead of you knowing what it means already, you look it up in the book, and then they tell you what they thought it meant. Not yesterday. Not one of the students, the participants, had any reference but their own divine knowing. And it was a beautiful process just to watch the energy of looking at a symbol. What does that mean to me? And writing it down. And then they would do this little spread. I don't need to go into the whole workshop, but then they would have to somebody would scribe that as we probed questions. What does that mean to you? What does it mean to you? And what was really interesting is at the end, different people would hold up one of the cards, and every single one had a different idea of what a certain symbol meant. A symbol as simple as a lotus flower, everyone saw it different. The yin-yang symbol. Everybody had their own personal knowing. You see, I can't emphasize that enough. That's why we have to dialogue. That's why we have to talk to one another to see, are we in the same image? Are we talking about the same thing? I don't want to just assume you know what I'm talking about. We have to go deeper and share what we're inspired by, fed by, knowing our values. Then we have a foundation for a beautiful creative field that we can now choose to invest in. And then the call to actualize that deep calling inside of you and knowing that the power of the universe has your back 100%. Christian Sorensen, he wrote this beautiful book, Living from the Mountaintop. Hear this. Without you, infinite potential remains just that. It stays unformed possibility. It is you who are needed by life for its potential to take form. Life needs you. Now, we have listened here in this center. In many of the classes, we have invested ourselves in the teachings of New Thought, in the wisdom of the ages, in the wisdom of the sages, through all faith paths. This is an interfaith center in such that we reach in and we find the nuggets of love and truth in every path. Now is the time to continue to listen, always listen and be inspired, but now prove to the world that these teachings are true. Demonstrate the truth through your actions now. This is a bold step for everyone, and it's necessary because we cannot hide. We cannot hide behind another class. Keep taking them, but don't hide in there. Speak up in the classes. Don't hide in another book. You already know what you need to know. And don't hide behind someone else doing the work already. Everyone is needed because you each have a unique gift to offer for the greater good. This is living out loud. This is the practical application of the principles that we teach here, that we have mastered in our spiritual practices. We have spent tireless hours sitting, praying, meditating, doing whatever it is in your life that takes you to that still place to support your intentions in life. So I wanted to just take it from here and share some backgrounds of people that made change. They made change, but also here in the story that I share, what motivated them, what motivated their courage. So I start with someone I imagine you don't know. Can't imagine you would. John Woolman, because he was an 18th century Quaker preacher. Now, this story is a little rough for me to share, but forgive me if I hit your tender heart here, but it's really a very valuable part of his story. And his enlightened actions followed a deep connection to an inner light. So it was in the 1700s. That was when Woolman, who became a strong voice of his conscience, supporting and opposing slavery, not supporting slavery. What a bad word to choose just then. It was a painful and tender, though, background story in him that sparked his compassion and led his way to become spirit in action. He recounts, and this is the story, as a small boy walking through a neighborhood, he came upon a mother robin sitting on her nest. Without any consideration or any reason at all, he picked up a stone and threw it at her, and she fell dead. Moments later, he was seized with horror. at having, in a sporting way, killed an innocent creature while she cared for her young. As he explains, I beheld her lying dead and thought those young ones for which she was so careful must now perish for want of their mother to nourish them. Painful consideration, he climbed up the tree and took all of the little young birds and killed each one, supposing that was a better choice than to leave them to pine away and to die miserably. It was a painful, very painful, and life-changing moment in his experience. But from that moment on, do you see, it led him to invest his heart in already what he had was a Quaker upbringing that taught about love and reverence for life now. He became a persuasive witness to kindness. Now let me read you the rest of his story, because these stories come from The Soul's Compass, Joan Boracinco and Gordon DeVerne. And here is what he says in his words, because this is John Woolman, and this is the insight he had about slavery. Because he was able to read and write and had to write a bill of sale for a slave, it made him very uncomfortable. So think about that. Think about something that you might be doing in life that you're very uncomfortable with, but you keep doing it because you're told to. So it takes courage here. He developed a belief in the wrongness of slavery that he just could not shake. At that time, many of the Quakers themselves had slaves, and this was a source of deep sadness for him. He became more and more uncomfortable, so he'd speak to people about their slaves in a very quiet way. He went from meeting to meeting, registering his protest gently by refusing to be served by a slave. He wore white because slaves made indigo and other dyes. He never humiliated or coerced anyone. He just went about in white and asked questions about slavery. This behavior wasn't welcomed in his own meeting, but the leading that he had was so powerful and compelling that it simply took over his life. He refused to draw up a will for an elderly man because it involved the transfer of his slaves as property. As time elapsed and the man returned to Woolman, this time asking that his slaves be freed upon death, eventually whole meetings moved to the north and gave up their slaves. The truth of what he was saying became so obvious to people, and the whole society of friends shifted because of his leading. He didn't bludgeon people. He just shared his feelings. How does that make you feel? You know, just take a moment and check in with yourself. You know, it's just speaking truth, right? So I think some of you understand in the Quaker tradition, they just sit in circles. Quietly, there is no real leader until one individual themselves has a leading or a stirring inside of them, and then they speak that, and there's no commentary afterwards. It's just truth spoken. So we sit with it at a certain level, recognizing this action arose from John, from his willingness, though, to deeply contemplate what he had done. So we take it back into our own story, and we need to deeply contemplate what we've been doing. We're all better for spending this time in contemplation for our actions and behaviors. And oftentimes, it is these most deeply sensitive experiences that our hearts hold that can now call us into action and not to bury ourselves with the suffering. This willingness, then, for each one of us to look within and see our part in this world, to see our part even in the suffering of the world. Are we doing anything about it? And Araya Mountain Dreamer, she is a beautiful, they describe her as a poet and a shaman, but she speaks these words I briefly share. I said I had faith that if we could sit in silence with what had happened and what was happening inside of us right now, sitting in faith inside ourselves. Very important. Right action will emerge. People were hungry for a way to be with what was happening, but if you don't have a practice, it's hard to access the kind of mindfulness and presence when you need it. The first step of action has to be deep, shared contemplation and silence with what is. Listening to the stories of what is and what stirs in us. Araya says, I have enormous faith that right action would flow from the place in everyone, that deep place. I think of social activist groups flying in with the best of tensions, but no ability to sit in shared silence. They often end up, as Wayne Mueller says, doing good badly. Yeah, we take a breath with that one. These various contributors to our story today remind us of it's just an ordinary human being making a choice. And this idea to contemplate deeply is what is a call for us now. And all of these contributors in this book had a heart that was unfolding into action. And they were also in agreement that there was a sort of counterbalance that was needed with that. And the one gentleman named Helminski said, he outlined it, that God going inward is not pulling back from life. You can see that by going into your center, we also gain the ability and the presence then to go outward appropriately, creatively, dynamically. To go out only without inner counterbalance is to go outward into a disordered or chaotic and lost state of being. One of the beautiful messages from the Science of Mind textbooks from Earnest Holmes, the founder of this philosophy, he speaks of the divine as your friend. God is your friend. And when you realize you've got a friend like that, living, breathing in you, so deeply connected to you and all around you, your guidance is a given. So our prayer, our meditative life is vital. It's not like you're wasting your time. It's cultivating what we need to know in our heart in order to take action. That's where your purpose is. That was a weird sound. I'm channeling something that wasn't me, some kind of a bird. So we respond to life, though, from a centered purpose of intention. Susan Baggett is one more story I'm going to share from the Center of Purposeful Living. That's kind of a cool, you're the Center for Spiritual Living, but this one is the Center for Purposeful Living. She shares how seeing the flow from contemplation into action, she sees it as the circle of infinity, moving in this way. And so we contemplate spiritual principle, and then part of that contemplation is how to put it into action. And then we contemplate the action, the result of what we've learned. So it becomes an ever-expanding circle of contemplation, action, contemplation, action. This is practical spirituality, contemplation, and action. All of these testimonies, I am so moved. This book came to me many, many years ago in a class here in Soul's Compass. And I could read you the whole book, and you'd be going, I didn't bargain for that. But I will share just one more reflection from Sister Rosemary Dougherty. She describes contemplation and action and connection as a conversion of the experience of self, false self to true self. And she says this, going back to the practices for seeking spiritual guidance, I believe in the saying of Lao Tzu, in the Tao Te Ching, search your heart and see. The way to do is to be. Ultimately, when we really come to that place of fully living who we are, right action just flows. We don't even recognize the separation. The being becomes the action becomes the being. I think the truth is that there are things that keep us from living in the deeper place of being, which contemplation is. I forgot the name of the man who said Jesus was much more interested in a conversion of consciousness than in importing information to deluded minds. I love that, because for me, contemplation is the conversion of consciousness that then allows us to see and to do from that place. So, I think I've shaped a few stories for you to rest in this week as you move through in your own contemplations and spiritual practices, whether it's a simple walk with your dog, a moment of doing the dishes, whatever it is for you. Recognize that it seems to be, by our very nature, to be a little bit timid when something new or challenging comes our way, and we can feel shy of the uncertainty, perhaps stepping in where we've never been before. But as we close this month about passion and purpose, take to heart what's your way. I am glancing out there, and I can't see a single one of you that I have been familiar with that isn't already doing this. And I bow to you. I bow to you because you're doing good work. Can you feel it inside of yourself? Because I see what you're doing. This is an amazing center that collects the consciousness of people longing for a greater world. So, take it to heart. Be still, silent, listen. Welcome the guidance. If you're sincere in wanting to be in service to love, know whatever inspires you will come with grace, and with grace will motivate you. Grace is the empowerment to your way to walk with the divine in service. Your innate passions become the compass for the good work you do. You will tap into resources that stir in you, that have been with you all your life path so far. You're going to start following the nudges, following the prompts all along the way. If you feel lost, spend time in nature. Cultivate that deeper, deeper relationship with all of your being and senses. Come alive. It can be also said, carpe diem, seize the day. Seize the day and know your way. Oh, I can just see it now. 1,000 years from now, they're going to quote that, seize the carpe diem, and then they're going to say, and then Sue MillerBorn said, and know your way. It's already written in the ethers. That's how it can happen. This presence of the divine is your good friend, whispering, whispering all the while. Come, do your good work. So I'm going to take you into a brief process now, and it's going to be some moments of silence, so don't wonder. Is she off the stage? Is she gone? Why are we still sitting here? Why are we still here? Let all that go, all of that uncertainty. I will let you know. But right now, close your eyes. Get grounded. Know that you're here on the earth. You were born for a purpose. Buddha says your work is to discover your work, and then with all your heart, give yourself to it. That's the Buddha. And no pressure, but Gandhi also said, no pressure. The future depends on what you do today. So let's see what God has in store for you. As you close your eyes, as you soften your shoulders, as you allow yourself to become one with this moment, we are in community. We are sharing the space with one another, and we are breathing and softening, moving away from the inner critic, moving away from judgment, moving away from the stories, and diving into the heart. And you imagine here that you are a conduit of light and love, right here, right now. I want you to recognize you're feeling God's wisdom, Spirit's wisdom, Allah's wisdom, nature's wisdom, whatever divinity name speaks to you. That wisdom is like a light or a river of running energy all the way through you. I want you to feel that. You are connecting. You are a conduit of that grace. You envision yourself now as a channel for an all-wise flow of current, ever moving, ever breathing you. Just relax your shoulders. You are here. You are safe. There's a realm of silence. Just sit and experience. You are sitting in a still pool of peace, love, profound silence. Don't be afraid. Go deeper. Go towards the beating of your heart. Go deeper. There is love calling you home. Be in a place of not thinking. You came here today. You walked through the doors. You came to know more about divinity, about God, about yourself. See this beautiful relationship. See it in the silence as you simply sit here now, in this holy place. Sit with God. Relax into the heart of the divine. Just breathe. Just breathe, as innocent as a newborn placed in the parent's arms. A silence, a depth. This is love at its purest. Breathe. Can you feel it? It's just pure, quiet. And we close this prayer time with a quote from Rumi. Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really are and what you really love. We speak this word in gratitude for coming together in silence, in love, and in truth. So be it, and so it is. Thank you. And Holly, want to come right on? Come on up, Holly. Thank you. And take this in right now. Let it be an extension, her beautiful music, an extension of her heart into yours.
God only knows what I want. God only knows what I need. God only knows how to calm my heart and put my mind at ease. God understands the human part that tries so hard to please. God understands the reasons why I overthink everything. But there's such a thing as overlooking all the false hope that old ego is just seeking. And there's such a thing as missing the moments of simply reaping what you've sown. What if I let go? Just handed it over my own wants and needs. If I let go, if I let go, just live in the moment and choose to receive what's best for me. 'Cause God only knows what I want. God only knows what I need. God knows the balance of givers and takers, the destroyers and makers inside of us. Some find that truth written on paper, and some find the truth just written in the trees. And some wait for life to break them and take them to their knees. But what if I let go? If I let go, handed it over my own wants and needs. If I let go, if I let go of the story I used to believe. God, this picture's much bigger than me, and his plan I can't even begin to see. What would happen to me if I let go? If I let go, if I let go, well, God only knows
was so
I think I really
special.
let go with that one.
That was so special. If the ushers would come forward, please. I went somewhere, did you? Yeah, that was great. As we prepare to give our offering this morning, our hearts are filled with love and appreciation, since what is offered here is for each of our individual spiritual well-being, and we are filled with gratitude, knowing that life stays in balance, for as we give, we receive.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful.
Was received in the offering this morning, and I know each dollar supports this spiritual family in many ways as we grow together, pray together, and give thanks together for all that the center has been, blessing us today and always, and so it is. Thank you. So we have practitioners that will be by the bell that would love to pray with you, and there'll be some coffee and tea in the social hall. Otherwise, have a wonderful evening. We have a closing song now, don't we? That's right. Don't want to close it all off yet. Anyway, so we'll have some closing music. Sue will have a closing comment. And thanks so much for coming.
We usually do this one at the beginning. The song is called I See You. And this is a call and response, so I encourage you to sing along if you like. When you search my eyes, when you search my eyes, you'll see my soul, you'll see my soul. When we share a smile, when we share a smile, God's love is shown. God's love is shown. You want to stand up? Want to stand up? Let's feel this. I'll speed it up and we'll feel it. When I see your light, when I see your light, I find my home, my home. When I search for strength in the hand I hold, well, that's me holding up heaven to you. That's me holding up heaven to you. That's me holding up heaven to you. with all my heart, with all my heart, I see you. When I search your light, when I search your light, I find my home. And when I feel your love, when I feel your love, well, I know I'm home. I know I'm home. And when I search your eyes, I see your soul. I see your soul. And when we share a smile, God's grace, it's known. That's me holding up heaven to you. That's me holding up heaven to you. That's me holding up heaven to you. And with all my heart, with all my heart, I see you. I see you. And where there is love, there is no fear. Where there is love, you know there is no fear. With all my strength, I'll hold you here. With all my strength, I'll hold you here. I'll hold you here. That's me holding up heaven to you. That's me holding up heaven to you. That's me holding up heaven to you. With all my heart, with all my heart, I see you. Look around at each other, see each other. You're looking at God, you're looking at light, you're looking at divine. I really see you.
Thank you. Thank you. What a lovely arrangement of songs. The songs really take it deep. So I invite you, if you are new, I would welcome you to come forward and meet me, because you can probably walk faster than me. And I would love to say hello to you and know you. And for the rest of you, I do see you. And I do stand here holding up heaven for you. Thank you.